Well, hello there, friend. Thanks so much for stopping by and thanks for hanging out today. Hey, just so you know, this is Andrew Najera with Drew Installs Hardware. Today we're going to be installing a timely Sidelite frame. You see me marking there the side, which the head needs to get the mullion bracket. Man, I've installed those mullion brackets on the wrong side so many times, so I like to hold it up and just give myself a rough mark saying, hey guy, mullion bracket goes on this side. You gotta get those instructions. Toss them. Actually, you gotta read those, but yeah, so you can't really see what I'm doing here, and that's really good for a video. But yeah, I'm marking about 37. Those brackets are 2 inches wide, so the door is 36. So if you mark 37, and I'm gonna start a stopwatch, which I should have done at the beginning, but yeah, so I'm marking that bracket at 37. If you want to be smart, mark it at 37 1/8. Mark it at 37 3/16. Give yourself a little extra room, because the glazers, they come in and measure for the glass before they get it. So if their glass ends up being a little bit smaller than it was supposed to be, I mean, it's no big deal, right? I mean, so anyway, that's something I do sometimes if I can. So now I'm gonna kick this head in, and I'm gonna put a screw in it through one of those adjustment slots just to hold the head up. I'm not setting the head, I'm just throwing a screw through an adjustment slot to hold it up and make sure it doesn't fall down. Now I'm going to grab that hinge leg and I'm going to kick it in up into that little bracket that's on the head. I'm not going to damage the finished floor. Kick it in, make sure it's tight to the floor, and then pull that head down. What's next? Let's do the Sidelite leg. This leg, I like to have it a little bit higher than it needs to go to make sure I can get that bottom sill in. So I'm gonna push this guy up a little, and again, put another screw through an adjustment slot, not to set it, but just to kind of hold it in place. What are we gonna do now? I have the bottom track that I'm gonna line up along the framing. And then here I got the bottom sill of that Sidelite. There's a door side and there's the opposite side. The glass is going to go on the door side. And so I'm going to drill a hole in this sill under the glass side. And you'll see later on why I do that. One option is we could just line this up with the wall and set that sill plate, or set that track first, and then the sill will just go on top of that track wherever it is. But because a lot of times framing isn't lined up straight or square, if we do it this way, we can make sure that there's no cross-site issues with the frame. So yeah, and you'll see that later on. So now I got the bottom sill in. I'm going to slide that mullion up into those mullion brackets that we put on the head, and then I'm going to slip the mullion over the track and over the bottom sill. And once that's there, I'm going to lift, that bottom sill is going to lift up into the mullion to secure it. So that's nice, and that's why I held that other side of that Sidelite up a little bit higher, so that that bottom sill is going to lift up into both of those pieces. So now I'm removing those little temporary screws I had put in there. Removing those temporary screws that just were kind of holding everything in place, because now all the pieces are in. We're basically kicked in. I'm going to pull them all tight to the ground, make sure everything's tight to the ground. Now we can check level, see where we're at. I'm going to pull my tape from the top of the leg, not necessarily from where the head is, but because I haven't pulled that head down tight yet. But from my face, it's looking like I'm not too happy with it. But okay, so if I'm setting that mullion, that means that left side is the high side, and that this other side is the side I'm gonna need to lift. So I like where the mullion's at, but I gotta lift the hinge leg. And by using the laser, it should tell me exactly how much to move it. So it's either an 1/8 or a 3/16 or... let's see if I'm happy with this. No, it doesn't look like I'm happy. Okay, you should have moved it a little bit more. Alright, well, live and you learn. And if I'm not happy with this, come on, guy. No, I think we'll be happy with this. Whatever that number is, looks like whatever that number is, so we're happy. So I'm going to lock that corner in. So that corner is locked. It's tight. That's good. And we're going to lock the other side. Now this, we're working from the top down here on these. So that corner's good. Mullion was good. Lock that in. And I should double check. So I've got it locked in at the mullion. And I know I should double check that it's straight at the very least. So, but with this style frame where it looks like it's like only like a 4.0 wide frame. I can't remember, but I'm going to take my laser and I'm just going to hold it up against those lines, the screw holes, and make sure it's straight. And obviously, okay, that's good. And then I'm going to make sure this side light is tight with the head, and it looks like I'm going to angle a screw up. I'm angling a screw up a little bit to pull it up, and then locking it in. So door side corners are locked, and now the opposite side corners are locked. Point, I guess we're gonna probably screw off the head. Is that what I'm doing? Let's see. What do I do? I mean, if the head's good, let's screw it off. Okay, screwing off the head. All right, and we got. It's not that. It's a little narrow Sidelite frame, so not many screws. All right, head's set. Now let's set the jam leg on the door side. So I'm going to take my laser and I'm lining it up with the top screw hole. And once it's perfectly lined up with the top screw hole on the jam leg, I'm going to make sure at the bottom that the screw hole is lined up still. Might have to tap it in and out, in and out. All right, bottom's locked in. And then up and down, just make sure that laser line is just right in the middle of those screw holes. And that's it. Yeah, the instructions say put one screw at each clip so that the trim sits flush to the wall. And here I'm doing the exact same thing on the opposite side. I'm putting that laser at the top and then making sure up and down my laser is exactly in the center of all those screw holes. That means this frame is level, this frame is plumb, and at least that hinge leg is square. So what do we do from this point? Well, it's time to swing the door, but because we have the wide trim here, I'm gonna pop the head trim on and the hinge leg trim on the door side before I swing the door. It just makes it easier that way, in my opinion. Especially that hinge leg. I mean, I don't think that trim can pop on past the barrel. Hey, Stuart Parker. Actually, I'm not sure what his... I call him Sasquatch, but he's there. Alright, and then I'm going to pop it on, and I'm going to lift it up a little bit to make sure that top miter's tight. When I'm putting that top head on, I try to make sure it's exactly centered. Because if it's centered, then it's where it's supposed to be, and your miters will look good. Otherwise, you're going to have to move it around. It's super hot in this room, and also I'm super out of shape, but whatever. I'm going to blame it on the temperature in the building. Alright, so I'm tipping that first hinge into the pocket, and then I'm going to push it way further out than it needs to be, so that the very top screw of that hinge goes in, and then I'm putting the bottom screw in, and then all these other screws line up where they're supposed to go. Don't spin them out. Number 3 tip, very careful. It sounds loud, but it's a light touch. And then we're gonna close it and see what the reveal looks like. I'm somewhat dissatisfied. There's something I don't like, so we're gonna make it right. I'm gonna put something up top, I think, first to move it, moving that, and then I put something at the bottom, I believe, also. Because once I close the door and have my reveals how I want them, then I can set the rest of that frame. Everything to the left of me can set once I like the way that reveal looks. So let's see how I do it. I think I have a shim in there. Everything's tight. So I'm going to lock the bottom of that left side light in, and now I'm going to pull up the bottom. I'm going to pull up the bottom sill, but I'm going to do that by I drill a couple screw holes, and then I'm going to run a 2-inch screw in that's going to push the bottom sill up. Watch. It's going to push against the track at the bottom, and it's going to pull it up, and I do it on both sides. I can do that on this side because the glass is going to go in the bottom and cover this side. And then after that, I'm going to lock in even lower on that left side down to the framing. And then I'm going to run some 3/4 inch silver bullets from that bottom sill into the track. And then now the mullion's going to mount through the bottom sill and into the track itself. And that's locking all those pieces together with the right reveal. And you realize I haven't mounted the bottom track yet. It's just kind of floating in there. And it's floating to make sure that we can make the cross sight right. And so now I'm just making sure this side light's going to be straight with the head. And then obviously the glazers come behind, measure their glass, and they're going to throw in a piece of glass that fits the side light I built. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. On the other side, I'm not going to use screws to pull the bottom sill up. I need to use my pry bar to pull it up because there's no glass on that side. I'm not going to put extra screws in it, so I'm locking the bottom of the far side light, and then I'm going to lift that bottom sill up with my pry bar, lift it up to where it's supposed to be. Throw a screw in, same thing there. I think my pry bar is going right on those trim brackets. So, and then now the mullion's attaching right there. So at this point, it's mostly all the way set. I'm gonna set that bottom track, and Stu's coming over to help me just to make sure that that thing can move in and out. It floats in and out right now until I set it. And we're gonna make sure that door is perfectly straight up and down with that mullion. And then we're gonna put a pin in it, and that thing's good to go. Once they put the glass in, there's no holes exposed because there's like a 1/4 inch of glass, and there's like 1/2 inch of a glazing stop, so they're good. Man, I love doing these frames. These are so much fun. It is so satisfying to come up to a rough opening, and then by the time you walk away, you got a frame and a door. Oh man, and if you can hardware it at the same time, oh man, that's so nice. I'm talking a lot over there. I don't know. I'm mad about something. I am not sure what I'm mad about, but yeah, something set me off. It's probably Stu. Probably stewed. Now let's trim it out. Outside in. Easy peasy. Clicks in. Don't hit it with a mallet. Just now, other side. Outside in. Head. I'm putting the head on first because I want to make sure it's basically centered before I try to put the legs on to make sure those miters look good. Alright, head's on. Let's put that other side leg on. Yes, sir. Outside in, outside in, outside in, outside in. Oh, beautiful. Oh, one more. There it is. Outside in. Once you hear that click, you're golden. Yeah, now that you're doing the mullion piece that's square and has no miters, you got to double check that outside in. Make sure you're starting from the outside in. Make sure you're putting the right one in the right spot. That's why I just flipped that one over. Yep, outside in. On this side, it's got the strike prep on it. You can see that there. So that's a lot of times, if you're not paying attention, you can pop the wrong piece on. And I say it's easy. It is easy, but sometimes it's hard. What does that mean? Anyway, yeah, just the principle's easy, but sometimes in reality it doesn't go exactly how you want it to. These actually went really good, so that's nice. The thinner trim goes on easier. Let's put it that way. So we're going outside in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Popped on easy. We got the little pieces on the bottom. The other piece, guy. Struggle a little with this corner, but pry it up. You got it. Don't dent the trim. Whatever you do, don't dent the trim. This has been an amazing install. I'm removing my little screws that push that track down. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I really like this. It's 35 minutes, more like 40 minutes because I didn't start the timer at the beginning. I like the reveal. I like the way it looks. We're going to hardware it out. Customer's going to be happy. Glaziers will come in and put the glass in. I have a POV of this also for a different one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.